Hello listeners and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Team 5 this week is made up of Sadie, Ruth, John and Rosemary, and our engineer today is Ray. The news this week is taken with permission from the West Lothian Courier dated the 24th of July 2025. As usual, the news will be broken into parts, and can I remind you that when you finish listening to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from a post box and not the post office. Now we'll start with part 1, the general news. And the first item is the headline item in the paper. The heading is, Dawn wins 2-year fight to keep her garden fence, and it is by Stuart Somerville. A Livingston woman has won a 2-year fight to keep a boundary fence around her garden. Dawn Gardner twice applied to the Scottish Government to keep a fence originally put up to stop drunks using her garden as a toilet. Neighbours had no problems with the fence, but the local community council maintained a robust opposition, branding it a loss of open space. However, the latest Holyrood-appointed planning reporter agreed with Mrs Gardner that the fence was needed to provide a degree of privacy for her home. "I'm just glad it's over," Mrs Gardner told the local Democracy Reporting Service this week. Mrs Gardner's home is in Waverley Crescent and occupies a corner site at the entrance to the estate in Elyburn. As part of her title deeds, she also owns a long strip of land alongside and had to maintain it even though it was originally designated as kept as open ground. It was frequently used by people exercising dogs and as a shortcut by commuters walking to the nearby train station. The last straw came when she opened her back door to see 2 drunks urinating at her garden wall only a few feet from where she was standing. Mrs Gardner had twice been refused retrospective planning permission for the fence. In April, the Council's Development Management Committee rejected the latest application to keep the fence. This week, after a Scottish Government-appointed reporter backed her latest appeal, she weighed into the council for wasting resources. She told the LDRS there had been 2 wasted visits, all because the Community Council had objected to the fence. Mrs Gardner added, "All I can say is after 2 years, I'm just glad it's over. We were never in the wrong, but now that's how it was portrayed." The council needs to concentrate on helping the people in our community who need it. There's much more I would say, but it wouldn't be printable. Before the fence was built, the open space had become an informal footpath, allowing people to cut across the garden and driveway in front of her house. Having converted the inbuilt garage to family accommodation, Mrs Gardner had already been given permission to build a standalone garage on the plot. The reporter, David Liddell, disagreed with Elyburn Community Council's claim that the land was open space, added that a sense of privacy needed to be recognised. In a written judgment, he said, "The atypical positioning of this plot, with a long and curved boundary facing the street, means that any boundary feature would be long. In order to provide a degree of privacy to the rear garden, a fence the height of 1.8 metres is reasonable and fairly standard." And it goes on to point out, the rest of the fence is only slightly higher than the height at which it would not need planning permission at all. Overall, I do not consider that the fence has significant impact on the local community or streetscape. Mr Liddell added the design objectives of providing enclosure, privacy and a greater sense of security to the private garden should be recognised. He said, "On balance, I conclude that the development accords overall with the development plan and there are no considerations which would still justify refusing to grant planning permission. Planning officers had recommended that the fence be agreed when the matter returned to the DMC in April, but councillors rejected the fence for a second time. A West Lothian Council spokesperson said, "We are aware of the decision of the Scottish Government's Planning and Environmental Appeals Division, which has final authority in planning matters in this case. We would encourage any West Lothian resident looking to develop their property to check in advance if planning permissions are required before going ahead with work to prevent potential issues in the future."
Right, this is decision delayed on phone mast the size of 5-storey building by Stuart Somerville. Plans to build a 56-foot telecoms mast next to a piece of public art in Uphall have been stalled by councillors. There was cross-party doubt at proposals that the pole, the height of a 5-storey building, which is to replace an existing 1-storey, could not be built on the same spot. Councillor Willie Boyle said the plan was more about saving money and added no quarter had been given to the amenity of the site. The Community Council said the mast would tower over existing trees, be too close to the artwork, and could affect local residents. Wendy McCorrison, Head of Development Management, told the Development Management Committee that the proposed 17-metre telecoms mast was earmarked to be built 27 feet away from the 15-metre mast it is set to replace. The applicant was asked by planning officers whether the siting of the new mast could be on the precise footprint of the existing one, but they were told this was not technically feasible because of the location of existing cabinets, HSE requirements, and continuation of mobile phone service provision during construction works. It was necessary to maintain emergency signals while the work was being carried out, she added. The site in Main Street, Uphall, is on the north side of the street, alongside the cemetery. Utility company Dalcour McLaren's plan would see the new mast built closer to above and below, an artwork which celebrates Uphall's transition from an agricultural village to become the heart of the shale mining industry. Local councillor Labour's Tony Boyle cast doubts on assertions that the mast would need to stay operational while another was built. There is another mast already on the site, unaffected by the proposals. He said, I hear what they said, but there's 2 masts there. Surely the other mast could serve the emergency services. I find that difficult to believe. Mrs. Corrison replied, we have asked the operator. It's probably possible that there's a technical way around that. It is obviously for members to determine if they feel they haven't got enough information or if the visual impact outweighs the service provision. SNP councillor Willie Boyle told the meeting the existing cabinets at the foot of the telecoms mast were an eyesore. He added, I have an issue with this. I hear what Tony Boyle is saying and the Community Council. What concerns me is when you look at the detail, there isn't just another mast, there's new cabinets going in there. I'm minded to move refusal because of the state of the street with what's existing. These cabinets are an eyesore. There's graffiti on them. The companies don't maintain the cabinet. They are just a convenient box to house equipment. There's no quarter given here to the local amenity or the community. I'm with Tony inasmuch as I don't believe that either. What we are looking at is cost here. Everything can be done. It's about cost, it's about quick and convenient, about what they can get away with elsewhere. Rather than go to refusal, maybe we should go to a continuation and have them here to justify this. That would be another option. Mrs. Corrison said refusal might be more appropriate. It still allows right of appeal. Conservative group leader Damien Dorian Timpson supported Councillor Boyle's call, adding, I'd be more minded to do a continuation so we could ask the applicant to be here. Chairing the DMC, Councillor Harry Cartmill said, I think there could be a compromise to take it away from the sculpture. It seems a pity that this would be overshadowed by this mast. He added that a continuation would give the applicants a chance to listen to our concerns and give us a chance to listen to them. In his objection, Jonathan Moore of Uphall Community Council said, "The 17-metre-high monopole will be significantly higher than the trees at that location. The new monopole is very close to the above and below public art, which symbolises the heritage of the shale oil industry in this area." He added, "Should the transmitter and associated equipment be much higher power and operate at higher frequency, its proximity to residential properties would give us significant cause for concern, particularly around possible health issues resulting from higher output 5G masts."
This article is titled "It's Absolutely Right to Lower Election Vote Age," and it's written by Ross Thompson. Livingston constituency MP Gregor Poynton has welcomed the announcement that 16 and 17-year-olds across the UK will be given the right to vote in the UK general elections as part of sweeping new reforms to modernise British democracy. The changes, published today in the new government strategy paper, will bring Westminster elections into line with Holyrood and local elections in Scotland, where young people have had the vote since 2014. The reforms are being hailed as the most significant democratic update in a generation. Gregor said, "It's absolutely right that 16 and 17-year-olds will now have a voice in UK elections. In Scotland, young people have been voting in Holyrood and council elections for over a decade, and they've brought energy and ideas to our democracy. Young people already contribute to society by working, paying taxes and serving in the military. They've got a stake in the future, so it's only right they should have a say in it." 16-year-olds were first allowed to vote in Scotland in the 2014 independence referendum. The normal voting age had been reduced from 18 just for the referendum. It had been a long-held policy from the SNP to reduce the voting age for all Scottish elections and was supported by Labour, the Lib Dems and the Greens. In 2015, the voting age in Scottish Parliament and council elections was permanently lowered to 16. The bill passed unanimously in the Scottish Parliament. This meant that 16 and 17-year-olds could vote in the 2016 Holyrood election. The lower voting age has stayed in place for all Scottish elections since then. The Welsh Assembly then followed suit in 2020 and reduced the voting age to 16 in Wales. The changes are part of a wider elections bill, which will also introduce an expansion of accepted forms of voter ID to include UK bank cards and digital ID formats, tougher rules to block foreign interference in UK politics, and close loopholes around political donations from shell companies, and stronger protections for candidates and campaigners, including action against harassment and abuse. UK Government Minister and Rutherglen MP Michael Shanks said, "This is great to see and absolutely right that 16 and 17-year-olds have a chance to take part in our democratic processes. They've been able to vote in Scotland for more than a decade, and it's only been a positive thing." SNP Deputy Westminster Leader Pete Wishart said, "We welcome this long overdue change to the UK voting age, which comes more than a decade after the SNP lowered the voting age to 16 in Scotland, and follows years of campaigning by SNP MPs, activists and young people. Thousands of 16 and 17-year-olds have voted in Scottish elections since the SNP changed the law in 2015. It is good to see the UK government finally following the SNP government's lead, so that younger people can have their say in the next UK election. Polling shows that younger people agree with many of the SNP's key policies, including securing real change with Scottish independence, rejoining the EU, eradicating poverty, tackling the climate crisis, opposing Westminster austerity cuts, and helping young people with free tuition and bus travel. Regardless of how 16 and 17-year-olds vote at the next UK election, it can only be a good thing that they will finally have their voice heard.
The next report is from Stuart Somerville. The headline reads, Council backs battery energy storage plans. Councillors have backed plans for a battery energy storage site, BESS, in open countryside, a few minutes' drive from Bathgate and Armadale town centres, despite concerns over the fire risks. The Development Management Committee agreed to back the facility in the interests of reducing long-term carbon emissions, but councillors accepted recommendations that the operational lifespan of the site should last only 30 years, rather than the 50-year lifespan which would have seen the facility operating until 2075. In a written objection, Colin Frame of Bathgate questioned whether the fire suppression systems outlined in plans would be enough. He said, owing to the prevailing southwesterly wind, toxic smoke and fumes from a fire at the site would quickly end up over the nearby housing to the west side of Bathgate, not to mention Windyknow Primary School to the south, putting residents' health at risk. The 2020 fire at a Merseyside BESS site took over 50 hours to extinguish. This type of fire is clearly extremely dangerous and difficult for the fire and rescue services to deal with. Should the wind be coming from the east, traffic using the A801 would be immediately affected and Armadale residents also at risk. Planning officers said the rural location of the relatively small site was acceptable. The land is northwest of Middlerigg Farm in between Bathgate and Armadale, just off the A801. The site is around 8 acres and will store up to 49.9 megawatts. Planners added the proposal includes the installation of battery energy storage containers, inverted panels, 2 metres in height, with transformer and air handling unit panels both 2.5 metres in height, a district/customer substation, control room, water tank, security lighting with CCTV and an SUD's basin, as well as 2 swales for surface water drainage. More than 100 trees, described as mainly roadside shrubbery, will be taken down, but the developers promised to plant 200 trees around the site to provide additional screening. In papers to the DMC, planners said, the land is not, however, classed as prime agricultural land, albeit it is in a countryside belt. Given the site's topography, the application site will not be highly visible from main vantage points. Councillors accepted that the applicants, Galileo 10 Limited, had submitted a fire safety plan. Councillor Tony Boyle said, looking at the objection, I am satisfied that Scottish Fire and Rescue has said that it conforms to all standards. Chairing the meeting, Harry Cartmel, a Bathgate councillor, said, none of us is going to be here in 40 years' time, but nevertheless we need to get this right if we are to determine this positively. Wendy McCorriston, the development manager, told the meeting, I realise our condition suggests 50 years and our applicant has mentioned 40 years. The most recent battery storage site we have approved has been for 30 years. Given the potential changes in technology, 50 years would not be appropriate. She outlined facilities such as wind turbines had initially been given 20 years lifespan and some had been extended, while photovoltaic sites, solar farms, have been granted 30-year lifespans. Laura Petrie for the firm said the 30-year lifespan would be acceptable. Councillor Damien Dorn Timpson had raised questions about replacing the storage cabinets on the site. When told that the equipment would need to be replaced in 10 to 15 years, he had asked, what would be the likely impact of equipment replacing within 10 to 15 years be? What would be the likely impact of equipment replacement within 10 to 15 years be? Would the access be sufficient? Colin Laverty, an agent for the developers, said yes it would. Mrs McCorriston told the meeting, "It is a balance, and I think in terms of planning policy, this is a site that is not readily visible, but a distance from main residential areas is acceptable, and in terms of land take, it is relatively small." Bathgate councillor Pauline Stafford, who had asked for the application to be discussed by the DMC, was not at the meeting, but fellow town representative Willie Boyle attended remotely. He told the meeting, "My concern about this site is simply that what we are granting is a commercial site on agricultural land. I understand the locational need. I don't have a great issue with it. Because it is a commercial site, the screening is important, and I welcome the assurances and I look forward to seeing a copy of the final planting plan. But I am reassured from what I have heard. Demand changes and we have to change with it. Other than that, I'm quite happy to support what's been put forward."
This next item is headed Dog Owners Warned of Algae Dangers and is by Ross Thompson. Dogs Trust is urging dog owners in West Lothian to take extra care around bodies of water this summer following concerns of an increase in blue-green algae due to the prolonged hot weather. Blue-green algae is a type of bacteria found in lakes, ponds and rivers, and it can be highly toxic to dogs. In periods of warm, sunny weather like we are currently experiencing, the number of blue-green algae can increase, leading to potentially dangerous algae blooms. Ingesting even small amounts of blue-green algae, either by drinking contaminated water or licking their fur after swimming, can cause serious illness in dogs. In some cases, it can prove fatal due to its effect on the liver and neurological system. Charlie Matthias, Senior Veterinary Surgeon at Dogs Trust, said, "As temperatures continue to soar and water levels drop, there is a potential for an increase in blue-green algae, which poses a real threat to dogs. On hot days, it can be tempting to let your dog dip in your local pond or river to cool down, but blue-green algae can make your dog very sick and in some cases provide fatal." I'll read that a wee bit again. On hot days, it can be tempting to let your dog dip in the local lake or river to cool down, but blue-green algae can make your dog very sick and in some cases prove fatal if ingested even in small quantities. We're urging all dog owners to avoid letting their dogs swim in or drink from lakes or rivers that look green, scummy, have surface foam on them or warning signs nearby. Blue-green algae is not always easy to spot, so if in doubt, don't let your dog swim in or drink from the water. And if you are walking your dog near water where blue algae has formed, keep them on a lead. Symptoms of blue-green algae poisoning can appear within minutes and include vomiting, diarrhea, drooling, muscle tremors, seizures, breathing difficulties and collapse. If owners suspect their dog has been exposed, they should contact a vet immediately. While unfortunately there is no antidote to the toxin produced by the algae, if caught early enough, your vet may be able to flush the toxins from their body. For more information and advice on keeping dogs safe this summer, visit www.dogstrust.org.uk.
This article is headed Shortage in Housing Revealed, and it's by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian is grappling with a persistent housing shortage despite outpacing most Scottish local authorities in constructing new homes. The region ranks third in the number of new houses built since 2000, with over 1,000 new homes added in 2024 alone. However, only a quarter of these were classified as affordable, barely making a dent in the county's waiting list of more than 11,000. Concerns are being raised that the concentrated development around Edinburgh cannot be sustained without significant infrastructure investments from the Scottish Government. This comes as Mid Lothian's Labour Group leader recently warned that his council would have to declare itself full. The latest figures reveal that new house building starts across Scotland have plummeted to their lowest level since 2012, despite the government declaring a national housing emergency in 2024. West Lothian has seen a 20% increase in homes between 2001 and 2023, surpassing the national growth rate of 17%, with only East Lothian and Mid Lothian experiencing more rapid development. Over the past 5 years, West Lothian has seen the development of almost 5,000 new homes, providing buyers with a wider range of choices. Between 2018 and 2024, the yearly rate of home building in West Lothian has grown from 875 to 997 units on average. 2024 saw West Lothian's overall housing construction, considering all forms of tenure, rise to 1,088, with 275 of those labelled as affordable, accounting for 25% of the total number. A spokesman from West Lothian Council said the delivery of new social housing remains an ongoing commitment from the council, and the development of new units is progressing well across a number of locations in West Lothian. Since 2022, 1,208 homes have been completed in the Affordable Housing Programme by the Council and Regional Social Landlords, RSL, in West Lothian. All types of social housing in West Lothian, whether Council or RSL, are currently in very high demand, and as a result, anyone considering applying for social housing in West Lothian is strongly encouraged to ensure that they register not just with the council, but with all registered social landlords who operate in West Lothian. West Lothian's proximity to Edinburgh is a factor in its increased housing demand, creating pressure on it and other local councils to deal with a rise in the number of planning applications and demand for potential building sites. This growth in new home construction, alongside the commitment of the council to further develop its social housing stock, comes at a time when pressure is building upon West Lothian's authorities to meet housing need as demand for all types of housing increases year after year. While a quarter of all new development in West Lothian must be affordable, the majority of approved homes are significantly pricier, leading to an expanding housing list and strained financial resources for more social housing. The local Democracy Reporting Service highlighted last week concerns in The local Democracy Reporting Service highlighted last week concerns in Mid Lothian regarding the focus on development. Labour Group leader and former council leader Derek Milligan has argued that without further investment, the county cannot sustain the provision of housing sites to meet government targets. Following Mid Lothian Council's Planning Committee's endorsement of new sites for potential development last month, Councillor Milligan, who opposed the additional housing, warned of the consequences of continued building without corresponding enhancements to infrastructure. West Lothian's housing forecasts anticipate the construction of another 12,000 homes by the end of the next decade. A spokesman for the council informed LDRS the council has begun the process of preparing a new local development plan for West Lothian, LDP2.
And that brings us to the end of part 1. Welcome back to part 2. We'll start with the family announcements and then continue with some more general news.
Dobie Aidan Broxburn, peacefully at Tippett Hill Hospital on Saturday the 12th of July 2025, Aidan, aged 90. Beloved husband of the late Rosemary, much loved dad to Christopher, Aidan and the late Stephen, and father-in-law to Lynn. Adored granddad of Ewan. Loved brother, uncle and friend to many. He will be sadly missed by all who knew him and loved him. A funeral mass will be held on Wednesday the 30th of July, 9:30 a.m. at St John, Cantius and St Nicholas, and thereafter to a burial at Loaning Hill Cemetery, to which all are welcome to attend. Doyle, Dennis. Bathgate. 3rd of the 8th, 1949 to the 11th of the 7th, 2025. Passed on the 11th of July 2025 with his family by his side, a devoted dad and granddad. The funeral service will be held on Saturday the 2nd of August 2025 at 1 p.m. at West Lothian Crematorium, to which all are respectfully invited. There will be a donation in aid of Kidney Research UK.
Muriel Nee Kerr of Bathgate, 14th of August 1933, 15th of July 2025. Peacefully at home with her family by her side on Tuesday the 15th of July 2025, Muriel, aged 91 years. A loving wife of the late Rudy, a dearly loved mum, mother-in-law, grandma and great-grandma, former church officer of Bog Hall Parish Church. Funeral service will be held in Bog Hall Parish Church on Saturday 26th of July 2025 at 10:45 a.m. Thereafter to West Lothian Crematorium at 12 noon. All friends are respectfully invited. Or Margaret, known as Rita Nee Muir, Livingston, formerly of Dumfries. Peacefully on 27th of June 2025 at Burn Grange Care Home, West Calder, Margaret, Rita, beloved wife of Jim, much loved mum, gran and great-gran. Funeral to be held on Monday 28th of July at 11 a.m. West Lothian Crematorium.
Olive Hill House. Peacefully at Garswood Care Home on Monday 14th of July, Olive Hill House, aged 78. Olive was a much-loved wife to Jim, mother to Robert and Elizabeth, Oma to her granddaughters, and sadly missed by all her friends and family. A funeral service will take place at the West Lothian Crematorium on Friday 1st of August at 12 p.m, to which all friends and family are invited. Annie McNamara of Broxburn. Peacefully at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary on the 12th of July 2025, aged 86 years. A much-loved wife, mum, granny and great-granny Annie, sorely missed by all who loved her. Funeral service will take place on Wednesday the 6th of August 2025 in West Lothian Crematorium at 11 a.m.
And now back to the general news. This item is headed Sadness After Five Sisters' Death and is by Nicholas Malizia. A beloved West Lothian zoo animal has sadly passed away after a battle with ill health issues. Shadow, the pygmy goat, was born at Five Sisters Zoo in West Calder in 2014, where she lived her life happily, well known to visitors. The 9-year-old mammal was referred to as a gentle and familiar presence, but sadly faced age-related health issues. Her carers at Five Sisters Zoo made the compassionate decision to let her go peacefully. They released a tribute to their beloved furry friend on social media. Their message reads, "It is with great sadness that we share the news of the passing of our cherished West African pygmy goat, Shadow. Born at the zoo in 2014, Shadow was a gentle and familiar presence to all who visited and cared for her over the years. Shadow faced age-related health issues in recent times. On Tuesday, the compassionate decision was made to let her go peacefully. Shadow will be deeply missed by the Five Sisters Zoo family and everyone who had the joy of meeting her. The tribute received an outpouring of heartfelt messages from visitors and locals who were sad to hear of the news. One said, "So sorry to read this. Shadow was a friendly wee soul and I'll miss seeing her on my visits. Rest in peace, Shadow, and sincerest condolences to all who cared for her." Another shared, "Oh, that's a shame, rest in peace. I thought the wee thing didn't look right when we were there on Sunday." A third penned, "So sorry to hear this, loved seeing Shadow." Pygmy goats are native to West Africa. Five Sisters Zoo cares for a number of pygmy goats as well as other breeds.
Pupils ensure they are all Team Jack by Michael Pringle. Young people at a high school in West Lothian rounded off the school year with a football festival which raised £3,000 for a local charity, the legacy of a courageous former pupil. For each of the last 3 years, pupils at West Calder High have finished the term with a kickabout and a fantastic day, all for a great cause, the Team Jack Foundation. Former pupil Jack Truman was just 15 years old when he died in 2015, following a fight with delta T-cell lymphoma, a rare and aggressive form of cancer. Jack from West Calder passed away less than 2 weeks after being told his cancer was untreatable. However, he was determined to help others who may find themselves in a similar situation. The teenager had a vision to provide a place for young people to gather where they could listen to music, relax and chat, and raised over £100,000. Days before his death, Team Jack was launched. It was followed by Jack's Den, providing a lifeline service to hundreds of young people across Scotland undergoing chemotherapy and other gruelling treatments. The Jack Truman Football Festival at Jack's School allows every young person in attendance to enjoy a fun day with football, a barbecue, soak the teacher, stalls serving up all sorts, tuck shop and much more. Jack's mum, Alison Barr, who is CE at Team Jack Foundation, said, "This year the S4 pupils at the school planned all the stalls as part of their creative industries qualification, and what a fantastic job they did. Beautiful handmade bracelets, TJ yellow and blue ribbons, fantastic medals for the winning teams, and the Jack Truman Challenge Cup was awarded to the team that showed the best values throughout the day, alongside the Jack Lees Cup in honour of another awesome West Calder High School pupil who was just sadly lost last year. Massive thanks must go also to Elaine Sharp, Depute, and her whole team of staff and helpers. Elaine helped Jack with his maths online while he was ill, so this holds a very special place in her heart, and it means the world how much she continues to support Team Jack. A massive well done and thank you to all the fabulous pupils, staff and parents who were involved in making this day so special, and the local businesses who also donated money and food and drinks to help with fundraising. We are delighted to announce a whopping £3,000 was raised for Team Jack. Congratulations to West Calder High School. We are so proud of each and every one of you. And there are many pictures showing the fun that was had on that day.
This article is by Jennifer Hyland and it's titled "Women Failed by Government Over Primidos." Campaigners who blame hormone testing pregnancy tests for harming their unborn babies have said the government is failing women 5 years on from a review into the scandal. Primidos was taken off the market in 1978 after 1.5 million women had taken it. A 2020 independent review called First Do No Harm found regulators failed and were responsible for avoidable harm. How the NHS responded to fears over Primados, as well as pelvic mesh, which has been linked to chronic pain, and anti-epilepsy drug sodium valproate were also reviewed. 5 years on, campaigners are still waiting for justice. Wilma Ord, aged 77 of Livingston, took Primados in 1970. Her daughter Kirstine, aged 54, is deaf, severely asthmatic, and has cerebral palsy. She said, "Families can't wait any longer for justice, help, or support." Marie Lyon of the Association for Children Damaged by Hormone Pregnancy Tests added, "The IMMDS review concluded that Primados should have been removed in 1967. It was removed in 1978 due to failures of the UK regulator to acknowledge hundreds of warnings that they had received since 1958 of concerns about severe adverse effects on unborn babies. Since the report, 61 of our members have died without receiving justice. How can government bodies be so inhuman as to delay justice in the knowledge that many of our families are elderly?" Campaign group Sling the Mesh accused governments of dragging their feet. It said that there had been no audit to gauge the harm caused by mesh or compensation, and few recommendations had been implemented. The group's spokesperson, Kath Sansom, said, "The institutional inertia amplifies the suffering, especially the lack of compensation for harm caused to thousands of women who innocently trusted their doctor that they were receiving a safe treatment." Sharon Hodgson, chair of the all-party parliamentary group on First Do No Harm Mesh Primados Valproate, said, "This little progress is hugely disappointing." In 2023, Primados campaigners lost a High Court battle for compensation, leaving the claimants potentially liable for costs. Manufacturer Shearing, now part of Bayer, has denied a link. Expressing sympathy with those who believe that they suffered following the use of hormone pregnancy tests and pelvic mesh, the Department of Health and Social Care said, "The government is considering the Patient Safety Commissioner's recommendations in full." Bayer said, "Bayer maintains that no significant new scientific knowledge has been produced that would call into question the validity of the previous assessment of there being no link between the use of Primados and the occurrence of such congenital anomalies."
Next headline reads, "Complaints after locals are cut off," a report from Stuart Somerville. Frustrated householders found themselves waiting for 20 minutes to speak to West Lothian Council's contact centre, only to be cut off. Councillors reported fielding repeated complaints from constituents left hanging on the phone when they tried to report issues or make appointments or payments. A meeting of the Performance Committee heard that many of dropouts were caused because of maintenance work on the telephone systems. Councillors were discussing service complaint figures at the last committee meeting before recess when Bathgate's councillor Harry Cartmel said, "I've had a lot of complaints recently about the call centre in terms of having to wait and then being cut off. And I mean a lot. I think there needs to be something to be looked at. I know there's been issues in the last few days, but I think there's a problem constantly. They are a bit exasperated when they call anyway, and then they get double annoyed when that happens." He added, "Certainly the call centre is an ongoing issue, but it has got progressively worse recently." Committee Chair, Conservative Deputy Provost Peter Heggie, and fellow committee member the SNP's Maria Macaulay echoed the complaints they had received about customers waiting on the phone for up to 20 minutes only to be cut off and having to ring in again. Councillor Macaulay asked, "Is there any timeline for when the telephones will be fixed?" Rebecca Kelly, Improvement Manager, told the meeting it has been an infrequent issue. Staff are firefighting when it comes up, and it's something they are keeping a very, very close eye on. Miss Kelly added, "The contact centre operates a system where customers can leave a voicemail if they've been hanging on for an extended period of time. Over the last month or so, we have been experiencing technical difficulties on the telephone system in the contact centre, mainly due to maintenance and preventative work that our IT services are working on to improve the security of the network. It is a temporary issue, and it's something we are aware of, and where possible, messages are being put onto platforms such as Facebook to make customers aware that we are experiencing technical difficulties. We appreciate it can be frustrating for customers, and we extend our apologies to anybody who has been affected by it. It is something we are hoping to have a long-term fix." After the meeting, a West Lothian Council spokesperson said, "We would like to apologise to any local residents who have experienced issues contacting our customer service teams in recent months. The first quarter of the year, from 1st of April, is always the busiest time for the team, due to the number of annual billings and renewals from a range of council services at this time. This always generates a high volume of calls at this time, and our ability to manage these in the short term was impacted by reduced staffing levels and a higher than normal number of essential IT upgrades to some of the systems we use. We have now recruited additional staff, and once both their training and the essential IT upgrades are complete, we are very confident that we will be able to deliver an improved level of service for customers going forward. Local residents are also able to carry out a wide range of actions via our website at https://www.westlothian.gov.uk/, including report issues, request services, make payments, and final information on council services.
This next item is headed "Grieving Mum Forced Back to Work After Baby Death Tragedy" and is by Chloe Goodall. A grieving West Lothian mum was told of her heartbreak after being told she wasn't entitled to full maternity leave or even a birth or death certificate after losing her baby at 20 weeks. Carol Cowan from Livingston had already suffered 9 miscarriages and endured a failed round of IVF when she discovered she was pregnant again at the end of 2024. Understandably anxious, she and her partner Greg went for frequent scans to put their mind at ease. At 18 weeks, her baby was active and moving with a strong heartbeat. But just 2 weeks later, they were given the devastating news that their daughter had passed away. Carol told Edinburgh Live, "We had a scan 2 weeks before and she was absolutely fine. She was moving and the heartbeat was strong, so we're not sure what happened next. We were taken from the scan room upstairs to a maternity ward, and we were put in a small suite that they call the Willow Suite, and I was basically told then that we would be given some sort of medication to start labour, and I would have to come back and give birth." Carol was in labour for around 7 hours when she gave birth to baby Charlotte. She said she could tell she was a little girl and that she was fully formed with fingernails. Following the birth, Carol was rushed to surgery due to complications, and she lost around 2 litres of blood and almost died. She continued, "I was told shortly after that, when I came round, that Charlotte, obviously we knew she was a girl, you could see quite clearly she was a girl. Everything was there. I was told that basically we wouldn't get a birth certificate or a death certificate or anything like that for her because she wasn't born at 24 weeks. When she explained the situation to her employers, she was told she was only entitled to 1 week's leave, 2 if her manager approved it, because Charlotte was born before the 24-week legal threshold. She only qualified for sick leave due to her medical complications. That kind of response was just like having your heart absolutely crushed," she said. "That's the only way I can describe it. It's just like complete disbelief. Disbelief, you just can't get your head around it. And then finding that out, you kind of feel your baby doesn't actually matter." By July, she was forced to return to work. Her sick pay had been halved, and with bills mounting, including the cost of IVF, she had no option. Now the 43-year-old is campaigning to change the law.
Carol is calling on the UK government to give mums who give birth from 12 weeks onwards access to full maternity leave and pay. She's also demanding legal recognition for stillborn babies under 24 weeks and a national policy that gives IVF patients protective leave. The 43-year-old continued, "We lost Charlotte. She was born on the 23rd of March. We're now July, and it's still just as raw. I don't even know if there are words. It's like having your heart just completely shattered. Your whole life just falls apart. You're just completely numb, like nothing matters anymore. But the thing is, I'm not alone. There are just so many other families that are going through the exact same thing and the exact same procedure and processes, and it's just completely inhumane. It's just awful. Obviously, if the policies get changed, it's not going to help, obviously, us now, but I want nobody else to have to go through this in the future. It's just terrible. I don't want anyone else to have to feel like this." Carol has now launched a petition to push for change and is urging people to back her. A Scottish Government spokesman said, "The loss of a baby, no matter at what stage of pregnancy, is a traumatic event, and our thoughts are with the women and families who have been affected." The Scottish Government supports enhanced provision of family-related leave and pay, and along with many public bodies, already provides pay leave for parents who experience miscarriages or stillbirth at any stage of pregnancy. The Scottish ministers continue to call on the UK Government to use its reserved powers over employment to improve provision for families as part of its wider Make Work Pay reforms to ensure that parental leave and pay provision fully supports working parents in Scotland. While a UK Government spokesman added, "We offer our sympathies to Carol and all who have experienced miscarriage, as well as the challenges of neonatal care and fertility treatment. Everyone deserves dignity and respect in these circumstances, which is why our Employment Rights Bill extends protected bereavement leave to those who experience pregnancy loss before 24 weeks, allowing the time to grieve without worrying about work." So far, Carol has over 700 signatures.
This article is again by Ross Thompson and it's headed "New Stores Confirmed for Centre." The Centre, Livingston, has unveiled plans to open a new jewellery store, F. Hines, and a 380-seater marble buffet restaurant. The new restaurant will be their first site in a Scottish mall, with both stores creating a total of 41 new jobs for the local area. F. Hines is a sixth-generation family-run jewellers, which opened its first store in London in 1856 and now has 118 stores across the UK. The store will offer a wide range of products for every age, taste and occasion, as well as popular services including jewellery and watch repairs. The store, which will be located next to Ryman, is due to open in August, bringing 6 new jobs to the shopping centre. The contemporary designed marble buffet restaurant, which will create 35 new jobs, will be located above Nando's on Almondvale Boulevard and is expected to open in May 2026. It will feature live cooking stations with skilled chefs creating a wide selection of dishes from around the world, including Asian, Indian and European. The announcement follows the arrival of various new retailers to the shopping centre over the last 18 months, including the first Cinnabon in Scotland, Las Iguanas, the wellbeing store Rituals, Danish lifestyle and homeware brand Søstrene Green, Pop Specs, the Designer Rooms and a 90-seater Starbucks in February. In addition to welcoming new retailers, the owners LCP, part of MCore, one of Europe's leading privately owned commercial property development and management companies, also recently announced plans to expand into the leisure sector. UK's leading family entertainment provider, Hollywood Bowl, is set to open a venue next year, featuring 22 cutting-edge bowling lanes, an arcade, a bar and a diner, giving shoppers the opportunity to shop, eat and play when they visit. Rakesh Joshi, director of LCP, part of MCOR, said, "We are delighted to welcome another fantastic restaurant, Marble Buffet, to our wide range of existing places to dine out at the Centre Livingston, and also another leading high street jewellery brand, F. Hines. We are dedicated to ensuring that all our new openings continue to keep the shopping centre firmly on the Scottish map as the number one destination to visit and enjoy a great day out with family and friends." Simon Eatough, the director of LCP, part of MCOR, and asset manager of the Centre Livingston, said, "We are really looking forward to the opening of the jewellery store F. Hines and Marble Buffet's first site in a shopping centre early next year, and we are delighted that they will be creating 41 new jobs in West Lothian. The new restaurant will give our visitors even more choice when it comes to enjoying quality time dining out. We will continue to strengthen the existing diverse range of eateries and shops at the Centre Livingston, with even more exciting announcements coming soon." Jeremy Hines, the retail director of F. Hines, added, "We are thrilled to be opening a new F. Hines store at the Centre Livingston, a prime destination that aligns with our growth plans in Scotland. This new location gives us the opportunity to bring our extensive range of quality jewellery and exceptional customer service to even more people. We look forward to becoming part of the local community and supporting jobs in the area as we continue to expand our national presence." A Marble Buffet spokesman concluded, "This is a really exciting time for us at Marble Buffet as we count down to the launch of our first restaurant in a shopping centre. The Centre Livingston is the perfect location for us, and we are really looking forward to welcoming customers locally and from afar who want to savour the taste of lots of different international cuisines all under one roof, where there's something to suit all tastes. For full details of all the activities and events within the Centre Livingston, check out www.thecentrelivingston.com.
Next, a report from Michael Pringle about 3 generations on a 42-club road trip. 3 generations of football fans from a West Lothian family visited the grounds of all 42 SPFL football clubs in a 24-hour challenge. Graham Cunningham, 38, from Falthouse, his dad Colin, 66, and his 11-year-old son Cole, who lives in Bathgate, started off at Annan at 3 p.m. last Friday as they took on the 720-mile journey north to Dingwall, raising over £4,700 for 3 worthy causes. Graham, a bus driver with Lothian Country, has set a target of £3,000 to be split equally between baby loss charity Simba, Scottish Autism and for Cole's team, Bathgate Thistle Community FC. All 3 organisations are close to his heart. His baby daughter, Rebecca Rose, was stillborn in 2013, and Simba supported the family then. His 4-year-old niece, Evie, Cole's cousin, is autistic. Graham, Colin and Cole arrived at Ross County's Victoria Park on Saturday afternoon. We completed our challenge yesterday at 2:05 p.m, so inside the 24-hour target, said Graham. There were no hiccups on the road. Some of the grounds are behind gates like Spartans and Airdrie, so we couldn't get really close, but that's understandable as we were there in the very early hours of the morning. Highlights for me were Kilmarnock, East Kilbride, Peterhead and Ross County. My dad's friend David Snedden, whose own dad was Kilmarnock manager years ago, met us outside Rugby Park and donated a bottle of Kilmarnock FC gin, and also presented Cole with a Kilmarnock top signed by the whole team, which made him so happy. East Kilbride's kitman, Davy, let us into the dressing room and pitch side and gave Cole an away and a goalkeeper top, which was amazing. They even told us to keep in touch so we could meet them in Elgin as they were travelling north to play in the Premier Sports Club. Peterhead gave us full access to the dressing room, media room, and allowed us to take pictures at pitch side, even with it being a match day. Sharon, the general manager, was absolutely fantastic with us. I even bought myself a Peterhead top as a keepsake. Ross County, our last stadium, was equally as good. Ryan, who works for them, let us in and walked us round the pitch so we could get some amazing pictures to finish off our trip. The challenge and trip is one that will last a lifetime for Graham, a self-confessed football geek, his dad Colin and Cole. He has documented every stadium on his social media accounts, with his TikTok page attracting a fair bit of attention. You can see for yourself on Facebook, 42 clubs in 24 hours, and TikTok at 42 in 24. Graham added, "Overall, it was an absolutely amazing trip with memories I will cherish forever. Most importantly, we are sitting at £4,700 raised for the 3 charities, which is crazy, considering I only aimed for 3,000. Big thanks to everyone in Lammy's Bar and Falthouse as well. They had a fundraiser on Saturday night, July 19th, and raised £800.
And that brings us to the end of part 2. Welcome back to part 3, which includes the quiz. Remember to listen at the beginning of part 4 for the answers to the quiz. I hope you're feeling very clever. There's some very tricky ones here today. Right, heads down, here we go. Number 1. The kookaburra belongs to which family of birds? A. Owl, B. Woodpecker, C. Kingfisher. Number 2. Carol Decker is best known as the singer of which group? A. Eurythmics, B. T'Pau, C. Yazoo. Number 3. Turf Manor is the home of which English football club? A. Watford, B. Burnley, C. Everton. Number 4. What is the official language of San Marino? A. French, B. Spanish, C. Italian. Number 5. Who was England's head coach at the 2003 Rugby World Cup? A. Clive Woodward, B. Jack Rowell, C. Andy Robinson. Number 6. Which city is the state capital of Western Australia? A. Adelaide, B. Hobart, C. Perth. Number 7. In drafts, how many pieces does a player start with? A. 16, B. 8, C. 12. Number 8. In which decade was the businessman Alan Sugar born? A. The 1950s, B. The 1940s, C. The 1930s. Number 9. In which Australian city is Flemington Racecourse? A. Sydney, B. Melbourne, C. Brisbane. Number 10. What was the real first name of the Labour politician Mo Mowlam? A. Margaret, B. Maureen, C. Marjorie. And for your little extra challenge for our words today, first word. The word is Nimiety. N-I-M-I-E-T-Y. Does it mean A. a yearning for a lost soul, B. timid by nature, or C. excess? And the second one, helical. H-E-L-I-C-A-L. Does it mean A. spiral, B. closely connected with the sun, or C. purple coloured? Good luck. Some of them are quite tricky. And now back to the general news. And this item is headed Dodgy Pop Mart Labubu Doll Alert by Ross Thompson. West Lothian Council's trading standards have issued a further warning to customers to take care when buying the latest craze of Labubu dolls. Trading standards have seized further counterfeit pop-marked Labubu dolls from stores in West Lothian, with all of them failing to comply with the Toys Safety Regulations 2011 and presenting a serious risk of harm. Product safety notices for a product recall have been issued to all traders that have been identified as selling these unsafe Labubu dolls. A council spokesperson said, "Product safety notices for a product recall have been issued to all traders that have been identified as selling these dolls. If you or your child have bought one of these products from a West Lothian trader, you should return the item for a full refund or dispose of the item, as the dolls pose a serious safety risk to children due to easily detachable parts that are a choking hazard." Trading standards advise parents to check goods and packaging carefully. All toys should be marked with the CE or UKCA mark for safety, as well as details of the UK importer. They are also advised to buy from reputable sellers and check the price. The genuine products are very scarce and therefore expensive. If a product is cheaper than you'd expect, it's likely to be fake. Trading standards encourage consumers to take these simple but important steps to ensure the toys and products they purchase are safe and compliant with regulations. These include inspecting packaging carefully, buy from trusted retailers, and be cautious of bargains. Extremely cheap products may not meet requirement needs. Trading Standards remains committed to protecting consumers and ensuring that only safe, compliant goods are available in the marketplace. Anyone concerned with safety of toys they've purchased is advised to get in touch with us via Consumer Advice Scotland on 0808 164 6000 or online at West Lothian Trading Standards at westlothian.gov.uk.
This is a sports article about Livingston FC and it's by Andy McGilvery. Zach Rudden hopes blistering pace will help him on a fiery pitch at Livingston and intends to blast in goals that will keep him in the team. The former Dundee and Partick Thistle hero has got off the mark already this term, with the clincher in a 2-0 win at home to Highland League Brora Rangers in the Premier Sports Cup, adding to Danny Wilson's opener. The Lions sit second in Group H on 6 points after 3 games as they host Kelty Hearts in their group finale on Saturday. Rudden, 25, bagged 15 goals in 47 games during a difficult season at Queen's Park. And after gunning down Brora, he said, "It's good to get off the mark and I've been biding my time, but I got the chance and I took it. There's good competition for places here. The gaffer spoke to me about that when I was coming in and it's something I'm relishing." Livingston have recently installed a new pitch, with boss David Martindale holding several training sessions on it to get players used to the surface. Rudden said, "I think the new pitch will suit my style sometimes, other times not so much, because it's going so quick at the same time and I'm running so fast at the same time. A very fiery pitch, and it's something we need to get used to, and quickly." Edinburgh-born Rudden, who came through the youth set-up at Rangers, says talking to Martindale had him convinced the West Lothian club was right for him, but was able to back that up by talking to several of his new teammates, and he reckons Livingston are in a good place as they prepare in their Premiership opener at Kilmarnock on August the 2nd.
This is another article from Stuart Somerville. Higher birth rate and migration are behind growing population. West Lothian's population could grow to almost 200,000 within 7 years. A growing but ageing population is one of the key points from the first draft of the Council's 10-year Economic Investment Plan. It is one of the few local authorities in the country that will see substantial growth into the 2030s, as Scotland's population generally remains largely static. But while a higher birth rate and net migration have been identified as the core reasons for the increase, the number of children is expected to fall. The report was delivered to a recent meeting of the Economy, Community Empowerment and Wealth Building PDSP. It predicts the country's population rising from its current 181,000 to 196,000 by 2032. Growth brings its own problems, with increasing demand on housing and healthcare, not least because of the rising number of elderly. However, the report added a cautionary note highlighting that population projections published prior to the latest census in 2022 saw the population figures in West Lothian overestimated by approximately 6,000, and future projections could also be overestimated as a result. The report outlined that while West Lothian's working age population is projected to grow by 8% in the decade up to 2028, its retired population is forecast to grow by 44%, and those aged 75 or over by 39%. West Lothian's child population is forecast to decline by around 5% over the same period. Skills Development Scotland, a Scottish Government agency, has produced figures on the dependency ratio, which compares the number of those of non-working age, that is, those aged 0 to 15 and 65 plus, in comparison to those of working age, 16 to 64. The dependency ratio in West Lothian is currently in line with that of the rest of Scotland at 56%, but the ratio is expected to be slightly above the Scottish level of 60%, confirming a growing ageing of the population in West Lothian. Another of the key changes is the ageing demographic and the demand for housing. The new local development plan is currently being drawn up. One of the main demands in public consultation on future house building has been the need for more diversity, including more bungalows and single-level living, especially in areas such as Livingston. A council spokesman said that wider public consultation plans are being drawn up by the council, asking people for their views on housing and on healthcare provision. Councillors welcomed the initial draft of the economic plan and wanted more detail. Jim Henderson, the council's business development manager, stressed that the economic investment plan was a live document which would be added to regularly and updated. He added that the key to development in the next decade was partnership with both the national government and the third sector, as well as external investors.
Outrage after vandals set fire to dog park. A West Lothian dog park has been forced to close after being targeted by youths. The Paw Park in Broxburn saw their shelter become charred remains after a blaze broke out within it. Images from the incident show flames engulfing the shelter with black smoke billowing into the sky on Monday evening. Owners said their park, the Meadow, was closed with immediate effect. They said youths were seen in the vicinity of the field around the time of the incident. Posting to Facebook, the Paw Park said, "Unfortunately, due to vandalism, the Meadow has been closed with immediate effect and until the charred remains of the shelter can be removed and the area made safe for dogs and owners. We have been made aware that several youths were seen in the vicinity of the field earlier this evening, and we would ask if anyone has any further information to please get in touch with us directly. A huge thanks to the local fire brigade for bringing the fire under control so quickly. What an absolute waste of time, money and resources." Locals were quick to comment with disappointment. One posted, "This is absolutely disgusting. What is wrong with people?" Another added, "So gutted for you guys and disgusted that people would do this." A third commented, "Really sorry to read this. I just don't understand what people get out of doing this." The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service have been approached for comment.
And that brings us to the end of part 3. Welcome back to part 4. We'll start with the answers to the quiz and then finish with some sports items. Right, let's see how you did with these tricky questions. Number 1. The kookaburra belongs to which family of birds? A, the owl, B, woodpecker, or C, kingfisher? And the answer is kingfisher. Number 2. Carol Decker is best known as the singer of which group? A, Eurythmics, B, T'Pau, C, Yazoo? And the answer is B, T'Pau. Number 3. Turf Moor is the home of which English football club? A, Watford, B, Burnley, C, Everton? And the answer is B, Burnley. Number 4. What is the official language of San Marino? A, French, B, Spanish, C, Italian? And the answer is C, Italian. Number 5. Who was England's head coach at the 2003 Rugby World Cup? A, Clive Woodward, B, Jack Rowell, C, Andy Robinson? And the answer is A, Clive Woodward. Number 6. Which city is the state capital of Western Australia? A, Adelaide, B, Hobart, C, Perth? And the answer is Perth. Number 7. In drafts, how many pieces does a player start with? A, 16, B, 8, C, 12? And the answer is C, 12. Number 8. In which decade was businessman Alan Sugar born? A, the 1950s, B, the 1940s, C, the 1930s? And the answer is B, the 1940s. Number 9. In which Australian city is Flemington Racecourse? A, Sydney, B, Melbourne, C, Brisbane? And the answer is B, Melbourne. And number 10. What was the real first name of Labour politician Mo Mowlam? A, Margaret, B, Maureen, C, Marjorie? And the answer is C, Marjorie. And now for the words. Did you guess these unusual words? The first one, Nimiety, N-I-M-I-E-T-Y, means an excess. And the second word, helical, H-E-L-I-C-A-L, is a spiral. Now your challenge, should you choose to accept it, can you use these words in a sentence today? And now the final items, the sports items. The first one is headed, Bowls Duo to fly flag for Scots in Canada, and is by Alan McGilvery. West Lothian players Ewan Shearer and Grant Logan have been selected to represent Scotland in the 2025 Atlantic International Challenge in Canada in September. This is the second year of the competition, which will see Scotland, Canada, Ireland and the USA face off at Windsor Bowling Club, Ontario from September the 20th to the 24th. Shearer of Linlithgow Bowling Club and Kirkliston player Logan are amongst a 20-strong squad from Bowls Scotland that have selected across men's, women's and para categories, who will compete against each nation in singles, pairs, triples and fours throughout the event. They are joined by Darren Galtieri, James Hogg, Connor Milne and Gary Prunty. Scotland's women's team is made up of Caroline Brown, Lorna Cameron, Dee Hogan, Natalie McWilliams, Gail Notman and Beth River. Para is represented by, physically, Gary Brown, Stuart Stevens, John Wardrobe and Pauline Wilson, and visually impaired, Jim Aiken, Laura Cluxton, Sarah Jane Ewing and Ross Noble. Bowls Scotland pathway lead Wendy Purdy said, I want to congratulate all the players and directors selected for our team that will be attending the Atlantic International Challenge in Ontario in September. In the second year of this competition taking place, we are pleased that it's a fully inclusive international level event where our para bowlers and directors can compete and gain vital experience as part of the Scottish team. We look forward to competing against other countries. I'm sure the event will be highly competitive, providing our players stern tests. More West Lothian players are in Bowl Scotland's 72-strong international squad for the season, included are Andrew Dunnett from Linlithgow and visually impaired clubmate John McDermott alongside Greg Logan of Kirkliston. Bowl Scotland's head of high-performance bowls, Karina Cuthbert, said, "After a highly competitive selection phase, it's exciting to see several new faces break into an extremely strong squad."
Turner takes Broxburn reins for Celtic B opener, an article by Paul Thompson. Lewis Turner admits Broxburn Athletic couldn't have been handed a tougher start to the Lowland League and has warned his players that they must hit the ground running if they have designs on the title this season. Brox travel to Airdrie to face Celtic B on Friday night in the 5th tier curtain raiser, and the young hosts will be favourites. Turner has retired from playing to take on the role of the first-team coach this season and has unexpectedly found himself at the helm, with Stephen McElhone after boss Stevie Pittman had to take a temporary step back due to family reasons. Turner helped Brox to a 7th place finish last term, but with last season's big spending champions East Kilbride out of the division, it is an open contest this term, and the 32-year-old knows that they need to make a fast start. He told the Courier, "It doesn't get much tougher than Celtic B, but if we are going to do something in the league this season, you need to beat these teams, and we'll be going out every single game this season to win, regardless of who we are playing, at home or away. It's a really good test for us. I've said to the boys that we really need to pick up a good amount of points from our first few fixtures because from my past experience at Bonnyrigg and Kelty Hearts, they stole a march on everybody and then nobody could catch up with them. I think it's a very hard league to be behind in. The team that starts best usually finds themselves up there. At Christmas time, the league tells the real story, and it's not usually far away from the final standings. But I feel it's anybody's league this season. There's 6 teams who could win the league this year. Us, Bonnyrigg, Tranent, Caledonian Braves, Linlithgow, Clydebank. They will have the objective to win the league, which is mad. I think it will be a really exciting league and the best league to watch in Scotland this season. The proof will be in the pudding on Friday night against Celtic. You never know what team is going to turn up when you play Celtic. They have such a big squad, and one week we could play them with all their best players, and then the following week they play Linlithgow or someone with a 16-year-old playing. This isn't very fair, and they shouldn't be in the league anyway, in my opinion, but we just need to get on with it. Brox warmed up with a local derby friendly against Premiership side Livingston on Tuesday night, with the Lions running out winners. Turner said, "Livingston was a good game to have ahead of Celtic B. They have more of the ball and are full-time, so playing Livingston was the perfect preparation. That should stand us in good stead." Being in the dugout this term will be a new experience for Turner, but admits he is relishing the opportunity to lead the team after hanging up his boots. He said, "I am really looking forward to it, and this is probably the most I've looked forward to a new season for ages, and I'm not even playing. It's absolutely mad, but because I have been doing the coaching and helping the manager quite a bit, it has made it even better. We've made some really good signings, and getting the striker Errol Douglas signed up again for another season when there were teams interested in him is massive for us. It's mad.
And we've now come to the end of this week's recordings. We hope you have enjoyed it. So it's goodbye from the members of Team 5. Until next time, stay safe and stay well.